The Golden Age! The Golden Age is real! Moin moin ihr Wichser. Stultifera Navis has brought us Specter Alter, who is the Alter of Specter. Time to look at this one character and the story of how the crazy yandere-bait nun Gyal turned into the worst Alter name in Arknights history. Seriously, Spalter? This name sounds even more goofy when you take into consideration that the current event revealed Specter's real name, Laurentina. That's probably not how you are supposed to pronounce this name, but you're gonna have a hard time finding somebody who gives a shit. Laurentina was born and raised in Aegir, a highly advanced civilization living at the bottom of the ocean in massive underwater cities. This what you see right here in this CG is not one of those massive cities, no, it's just a small town created by refugees. Yep, why refugees though? You see, life in Aegir seems to be rather okay. Laurentina describes it as a utopia, but they have a big problem. Those stinky boys. Aegir is in a constant state of war with the Seaborn, those annoying dickheads we have to fight in the event. And it is a bad war. Countless cities got destroyed, countless lives are being lost. Mad. At some point, Laurentina enlisted in the Abyssal Hunter project. The Abyssal Hunters are a unit of absolute elite warriors created to combat the Seaborn. The way they get created? Well, you take a warrior and you inject Seaborn blood into them. Yep, they partially are made up of what they are supposed to kill. Laurentina became a part of the second company, which was led by Gladia. She quickly became known as one of its cruelest executioners. If you know a bit about the Abyssal Hunters, you know what happened next. They all went to fight a massive Leviathan below the sea, who they believed to be the god of the Seaborn. They managed to kill that big geezer, but they paid the price. Their forces essentially were annihilated. There currently are only 4 known survivors. Skadi later says that the second company, the one Specter was a part of, used their lives in order to buy the others of the Abyssal Hunters' time. From what we know, Gladia and Laurentina were the only ones of their unit to make it out. Laurentina broke out of that mad situation and escaped. She did not return to Aegir though, she escaped to the shore, where she collapsed. And there on the shore she was found by somebody. Yay! You see, she got to the coast of Iberia. Iberia is a bit of a stinky place at the moment, I can't lie, its coast specifically, as they are filled with members of the Church of the Deep, an organization of people who think that the Seaborn are so insanely cute that they also want to become Seaborn. I promise you, they are just ocean fanboys, not the cult filled with lunatics, surely not. The unconscious Laurentina was found by this person, a female Liberi named Amaya. She looks like a nice person, doesn't she? She dresses like Bruno Mars, she kinda reminds me of Markiplier actually, and her facial expressions totally do not make her seem like the personification of the devious lick trend. Okay, she's a bishop of the Church of the Deep. She brought Laurentina to one of their hideouts, and what followed was mad. Originally, they were just questioning her, hoping to use her to learn about the ocean they so worship, yet she refused to give them information, so they resorted to violence. They took her and injected a large dose of refined liquid originium directly into her neck. This originium essentially ended up replacing her spinal fluid. Maybe completely, but definitely to a high degree. The only reason she survived this disgusting move is the fact that she is an Abyssal Hunter, and with that, partially a Seaborn. The originium inside of her spine massively damaged her nervous system and constantly, like genuinely always, tries to invade into the rest of her body. Her cells, however, are continuously fighting back against it and keep restoring themselves. This essentially means that there is constant fighting going on inside of her own body, and apparently this fighting and the damage caused by it are the reason for Laurentina going insane and essentially being covered by a new personality who you might know under the name Specter. This is how it gets described in the game. Specter covers Laurentina. Prank him, John. Now, okay. I fully want you to understand what I just described. She didn't give them the answers they wanted, so they destroyed her nervous system by injecting liquidified magical rocks into her spine, which made her go insane and gave her a second personality which dominates the person she used to be before. The psycho non-personality of her OG form is the result of human experimentation performed by a cult of dickheads. This shit is mental, and people in the Crunchyroll comment section say that the Arknights main story seems depressing. And everything happened because of this chick. I swear, if I see even one of you motherfuckers call her mummy in the comment section, I'm gonna be so disappointed in you. To be fair to her though, the experiments were not carried out by her, they were carried out by somebody who got referred to as Sire by the other members of the cult. Amaya was only responsible for talking to Specter, getting information out of her, and recording her mental state. It later gets claimed that this whole experiment greatly helped their plans. I am unsure though whether this means that she revealed big stuff to them, or whether they just learned something by doing this stuff to her. Either way, fuck them and their mothers. Much later, Specter can be found as both a patient and an operator at Rhodes Island. There's a bit of an inconsistency when it comes to how she joined though. The first version says that it was her who approached Rhodes Island. She was articulate and sincere, claiming that she had escaped confinement and wanted to deliver a message. She didn't manage to deliver it though, and instead descended into madness. She was then taken in. Calcid later implied that she was the one to save her from where the Church of the Deep was hiding her. Either way, during her first contact with Rhodes Island, she did not claim to be Laurentina from the Abyssal Hunters. She referred to herself as a Specter, a nun from a convent. Her new personality does not remember her past self. While at Rhodes Island, Specter is getting treatment for both her oripathy and her mind. As you can imagine by what we discussed earlier, her oripathy is really bloody bad, it's a shambles. Her physical health is constantly getting worse because of it as well. Oh, and Rhodes Island uses her as a combat operator as well. While in combat, she is very quiet, only mumbling to herself occasionally. She always follows orders to the end, she does everything without giving orders any second thoughts. She does not communicate in battle, just carries out orders. Before anybody files a lawsuit against Rhodes Island, by the way, it was her own decision to fight. When she returns from missions, she always is massively fatigued and rests. She spends most of her time at Rhodes Island in a state of slumber actually. Seems like a cycle. Occasionally she will get into a lucid state during which she wanders around the landship. She does not communicate with anybody though. It is implied that those occasional states of not being a complete lunatic is the result of her sea-born blood acting up. Specter being at Rhodes Island seems to be the main reason for Skadi joining as well, by the way. The relation between those two at Rhodes Island is such a mad thing. It is very wholesome, it is very sad, it makes me feel emotions, and it will be discussed in an operator video on Skadi, which hopefully will be released very soon. This is the absolute state of Laurentina / Specter. Massive developments to them would come very soon after the Sal Viento incident, aka the Arknights event story, and the Gran Faro incident, aka the Stultifera Navis event story, and a couple of things that happened in between. To kinda oversimplify, Gladia came to Rhodes Island, took the slumbering Specter, and brought her to the Church of the Deep. The idea here was to be like, oh hey, I brought you your experiment back, I'm totally on your side. It's not like I'm trying to infiltrate you for information or something, baka. Skadi followed Gladia, thinking that she had to rescue Specter. A big mess unfolded, and at the end of the day, all of them were rescued by Calcid. This is Arknights. The big thing here is that after the events of Sal Viento unfolded, Specter returned to Laurentina. This is right, her old self got control for a while after this whole thing. She had a very hard time holding up her consciousness though, as her Specter self tries to regain control, especially after the Abyssal Hunters needed to help out Misery in fighting a group of dickheads in northern Iberia. Once they returned to Rhodes Island, Specter was massively struggling. The only things she really managed to do before turning mad again were giving a Christmas gift to Suzerain, watch my upcoming Skadi video if you want to know why, and having a chat with you, the doctor. She demanded from you that you have to put her into even more danger and use her in battle more. She then sings a song and shortly after she fell back into insanity. By the way, her altar outfit was created at that point in time after returning from Sal Viento. Gladia designed it and Skadi took Specter's measurements. And next we have Stultifera Navis, the Gran Faro incident. To oversimplify again, the Abyssal Hunters decided to find the ship Stultifera Navis because they want to uncover possible secrets hidden on there, then return to Aegir, bring those secrets to Aegir and continue the fight against the Seaborn. In order to find this ship, they needed to get to a lighthouse, and for that they needed to go to the town of Gran Faro. Allies on their side were Calcid, the Iberian Inquisition, the members of Alive Until Sunset, and this homie right here. And well, Elysium as well, but he kinda didn't do shit. This is Stultifera Navis. And guess who Specter runs into during the fighting at Gran Faro? This vile bitch. That's right, Specter runs into Amaya, and obviously she does not recognize her as the one to put her through tremendous hardships. Amaya doesn't seem to be very happy about Specter's current state of mind. She takes her hands and tells her to come and find her when she remembers her name. Crazy. During the time in Gran Faro, Specter's personality would be in a constant state of change. After they make it to the lighthouse, High Inquisitor Dario straight up says that her personality is completely different to how it was in Gran Faro just a second ago. After making it to the ship, they board it, and on there, Specter finds a mirror. After looking at it for a bit, Laurentina returns. This was the moment during which she overcame her Specter self. She starts to regain all of her memories, she keeps all of the memories made during the Specter time, and says that her recent memories were rather embarrassing. Not long after, Laurentina feels that Amaya is also on the ship. She ends up finding her. The bishop tries to convince her to join her side, mentioning how much she enjoyed talking with her back when the experiments were being performed. Laurentina takes Amaya for a dance, making it seem like she accepted the proposal. During that moment, Amaya explains to her that Laurentina did not regain her consciousness out of her own strength, but because her seaborn blood got so close to the sea that it started acting up and win over the Originium. Whether that's true or not, I have no idea, but it is kind of being corroborated by what we discussed earlier. After a while, Laurentina strikes her dance partner with her weapon, heavily wounding her. Amaya escapes and makes a Seaborn on the ship consume her body. Yes, you heard me right, which made the Seaborn turn into this disgusting thing. The hunters and the allies they made on the ship fight the Seaborn down in a combined effort, the ship explodes and they make it back to the shore. Event story over. After the Gran Faro incident, Laurentina's mental state was classified as stabilized by Rhodes Island. She handled her situation pretty well, stating that learning about her Specter self broadened her horizons. It was not a bitter pill for her to swallow. Seeing operators familiar with her old self react to her new self is amusing to her as well. Nowadays, Specter is considered to be the most approachable Abyssal hunter at Rhodes Island. Although she handled that aspect quite well, I can't help but think that she seemed quite shook at the fact that it wasn't her own self who overcame her insanity, but the blood of her enemies, which is also flowing through her. By the way, during combat or other stressful situations, Laurentina can occasionally be seen behaving like her mad self again. It is unconfirmed whether this is a relapse or whether this is just her trying to imitate her old self. But for all of you weirdos out there who preferred Specter over her altar, I hope you are happy. Honestly though, I really like her actual personality. When compared to Specter, she gives off the vibes of somebody who just doesn't feel like interacting with the doctor and who doesn't give a shit about the infected and Rhodes Island. That is Specter's story up until now. But let me quote my personal hero, KSI. It's not over yet. Gladia promised her that she will deal with the sire who performed all of those experiments, and the Church of the Deep was never fully destroyed. Rhodes Island has created its own Iberia task force, and the fight on the coast against weird monsters and the pricks who worship them is far from over. But that is a story for another day. Now, let me give a big thank you to my channel members and my channel members. Ankoku, Ezreal, Carousel Ava, Chris, Daniel Henriquez, Darth Eldo Sh, Demoboy125, Erwin Heckler, Jimshot First, Just Another, Random, Longo, Neo, Cubic, Salvessa, Vritten, and the Phoenix. Thanks a lot for your support, guys, and to you, thanks for watching, and I hope that I will see you next time. Cheers!